Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
If you can, survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here. Joining me once again is my brother, Tommy. How's it going?
I'm doing good.
And also joining us is our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going?
Happy Memorial Day, folks.
I was going to say, yes, happy Memorial Day. Here we are.
A special Memorial Day Monday coming from you in the Kliqsters.
Yeah.
I like that. Richard saying that with his In The Kliq shirt on right now. Way to support the brand, man. That's awesome. But no, yes, here we are back at it on a Monday. Just talk all the major news and shows from this week in pro wrestling. So much to talk about. But it's kind of nice. I like this recording like on a Monday morning-ish, or almost like lunchtime now. We're recording this.
This is our brunch time special.
Brunch time
There you
special.
go.
Good moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, remember, Danny, when we used to get brunch at Pier 29 back in the day because Mom wanted it?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like this kind of occasion, you know?
We should get some brunch. We should have some, what's your favorite like brunch item? Our dad loves like eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
That's always his thing.
Oh, that's for sure. I'm with your dad.
Yeah. That's a good like
Any
brunch
sort
item.
of Benedict.
Yeah.
Crab Benedict is the best.
Or there's like, you can have like sausages.
Yeah.
Or
This is what people want to hear.
Exactly. What we want for breakfast.
yeah, because brunches, it's not lunch and it's not breakfast. But if you want to combine the two, that's what you get.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I was going to say, sounds like a Seinfeld bit right there.
Yeah. Why do they call it brunch?
It's not lunch.
It's
No,
not lunch.
breakfast.
It's not breakfast. But if you combine the two, voila.
What's the deal with wrestling podcasts talking about breakfast?
Oh my God. So
Anyway.
Anyway. On that note, let's transition. So clickbait news for this week. It came out, Tuesday morning that WWE announced that them and announcer Adnan Virk have mutually agreed to part ways. So he will no longer be the voice of Monday Night Raw. It only lasted 7 weeks. And I mean, honestly, I was not surprised by this at all.
Me neither.
Whoa!
Wow!
Unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Not a lot to say here at this point.
Bon voyage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were all in agreement. Yeah, he was just not a good fit for the role that he was given and working Monday Night Raw.
Didn't have the enthusiasm.
I mean, yeah, he just didn't have like the voice.
Knowledge.
The oomph.
Yeah, he didn't have knowledge.
You'd kind of think that WWE would hire him under the guise of asking him some questions as, hey, who's our world champion? You know, what's your favorite wrestler here? And blah, 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 blah.
Do you know what a heart attack is?
Yeah.
And not just a clothesline. I mean, that was the big thing for me. Like, I was trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
That was my, I actually forgot, we didn't talk about this in our little pre-meeting, but that was kind of my major gripe with Tom Phillips originally.
Yeah.
And who got let go this week.
Oh, that's right. I should put that down as
Yeah.
well.
No, we got it here. Don't
There
worry.
you go. Thank you.
Because there was an NXT long ago when they brought in the Authors of Pain.
Yeah.
And when Paul Ellering came out, he's just shouted like, "Who's that?" And it's just like, I mean, I get it. Paul Ellering's not the biggest name in the world in wrestling, but it's just kind of like, it was just one of those moments where you're like, that's Paul Ellering, you idiot.
He's a legend. He's a legendary manager.
Manager of the Road Warriors. And it's funny, the next week he seemed to be an expert on Paul Ellering. And it's just like, you're a dick.
He read his Wikipedia bio afterwards.
Yeah.
Or he's reading on his phone in the moment.
Googled it.
He read the top paragraph of the Wikipedia bio.
Yeah, so this all kind of combined together. So yeah, this week Adnan Virk mutually agreed to part ways with WWE. Tom Phillips was released, and Jimmy Smith is going to be the new announcer for Monday Night Raw. So let's go down the line. So yeah, Adnan Virk, as far as I just listen. I know he's a broadcaster. He's done MLB stuff. He's done other sporting stuff. But when it comes to pro wrestling, I didn't know much about him. So I was like, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I was listening to do the play-by-play. I just felt he didn't have like that strong voice.
He has a good voice for announcing, but it's sterile. Like with the wrestling, unlike baseball and football, you have to have bring some emotion to it, no matter what your
charisma.
Job. What? Yeah. Yeah, doesn't matter if you color commentary or play-by-play. Like, have something, and it just felt like guy calling it for the radio.
Right. I'll give you an example. Joe Garagiola. He was a legendary broadcaster, but he also played baseball, and he was a famous broadcaster for Major League Baseball, and he also dabbled a bit in commentary for pro wrestling in the 60s and during the St. Louis territory. And I remember hearing his voice at the time. I mean, I was watching some old clips of his announcing, and it wasn't that good, as I remember. So it's kind of in comparison to what Adnan Virk is, since he has affiliation with Major League Baseball.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is just because you're a good broadcaster in one sport doesn't mean it can carry over to another sport or industry. So I think that's what maybe happened. Maybe they thought, like, hey, this guy, he's a broadcaster for baseball. He should be able to make the transition over to wrestling. And it's a whole different beast on its own. And I mean, that's the thing. I think just in general, it's like if you're good in one field, doesn't mean it will carry over into the other one. And so, he tweeted out, thanks for WWE for the opportunity. He said the weekly travel along with my other jobs were a grind for me and my family. Grateful for the opportunity, I'm grateful to everyone with the company, with especially Graves and Saxton for being such a fantastic teammates. I mean, I was laughing when he said a grind for my family. Like, all he did was fly to the Thunderdome and back. They didn't actually go on a tour schedule yet. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of like a little bit of a BS tweet.
In his defense, you have to get there, a day or two early for COVID stuff.
Yeah. So, but I was just kind of laughing. It was like, it's not like he's traveling all around the country. Like, literally, I think he lives up in New York. So he flies down to Florida, does Raw, and comes right back. So, I mean, I do get flying to and from every week is a grind, but like, it's not like they were flying other parts of the country and doing other shows and other obligations. This was a closed set. So I think it was a very PR friendly tweet just to kind of thank you for this opportunity. But it was reported like WWE like last week had their minds up that they were going to let go of him. And so it's a nice way of saying mutually agreed to part ways. A nice way to put a little bow on it. So he was just in over his head. And like I said, I was frustrated. With
keep in mind with Vince is a former announcer, so it's like if he's not hitting what he wants him to say, this is a guy that like had issues with a more seasoned announcer in Joey Styles. Like if this guy's not getting it, then it's like 7 weeks.
Yeah. Like, well, like I said, it's just he never
didn't seem like he was improving.
Yeah, like he didn't
every week. It was this streamlined.
Well, he didn't like learn the moves, or like I said, when Natty and Tamina hit the heart attack, their finisher, obviously like the Heart Foundation, he said, "Oh, Natty with the clothesline." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that was the finish. And then Sheamus cut a promo a couple weeks ago and called him out, said you're in over your head. So I think a lot of people knew the writing was on the wall. So wish him the best, man. Hopefully, it looks like he is busy with work at other jobs. So
I think he still works for MLB Network.
Yeah. So hey.
No, he's working for Cam Soda. The lady. He is. I swear to God. Look
what?
It up.
Really?
He got a job offer to do some they're trying to expand and do like some fighting thing, and he's going to go call that.
Really?
No way.
Okay, yeah. I gotta look that up. So, but as a side note, as you just mentioned, Richard, Tom Phillips was also released, I think on Wednesday it was announced. He's been with WWE for what?
Good riddance. Good riddance. Goodbye. Never come back.
Really? So you're not a big fan of his? Please
loathe him.
Really? Explain.
Yeah.
Well, I know you said like the Paul Ellering example.
There was that, but the other big thing for me was it always felt like from the moment he got called up that he was impersonating Michael Cole almost to keep a job. Like his cadences, some of Michael Cole's lines, no. Like he never did that in NXT. Like he'd started doing all that, and Michael Cole produces the announcers for NXT. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he was, Michael Cole changed the way he was doing things on the main roster. It's like he was doing those things on his own, and he was terrible at it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, so the thing is,
the only thing left on my checklist is to get rid of Byron.
Then you'll be happy with the broadcasting.
I'll be super happy.
All right. Well, so Tom Phillips, I know he's been with the company since 2012, so almost 10 years, 9 years. He has the honor. I mean, this is what I heard people say. He's called every show for WWE: Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT UK. So
main event.
Yeah, he's been like their utility broadcaster for all this time. Yeah. I wonder.
He's got some skeletons in his closet too.
Here, I was talking to a coworker, and he brought up a good point. He wonders maybe, with the Adnan Virk being let go, and a lot of people thought, who are you going to get to replace him? Is it going to be Tom Phillips again? It'll be his third time doing Raw stuff. But it looks like they went with Jimmy Smith. My coworker suggests, I wonder if Tom Phillips told them, like, hey, you guys are not using me. Let me go. That's just speculation. Yeah. So Tom Phillips, he's gone. I'm with you. I always felt like he was like a Michael Cole 2.0. He has a smooth delivery from a broadcasting standpoint, but in the pro wrestling world, it is very kind of vanilla in some ways as far as his personality.
Somewhat nasally.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll stick with wrestling. I think with his style and his look and everything, he can go to
if you were in WWE, we all know where they go when they're done with WWE.
ESPN.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
all ex WWE.
Oh yeah. Mark Henry's the latest one now. So.
Leo Rush.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say for Tom Phillips, like with his style and his delivery, he can easily go to like news broadcasting or it seems like a talented guy from just his delivery standpoint.
Can you imagine him calling like a hurricane and go, no.
That's the thing is like, I wonder if like, would he like transition to some other TV, like I said, a news network or maybe some other sports. Like I wonder what's he interested in. So I would imagine he's going to land on his feet just fine. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if he'll leave pro wrestling completely and just go into a different direction TV wise. So, like you said, he did his job for so many years and was a good utility player. So wish him the best and all that.
I do not.
And then it was announced Jimmy Smith will be the new announcer for Monday Night Raw. I don't know much about him. Tommy, he knew quite a bit already.
Yeah, I remember him from this show on Discovery Channel called Fight Quest. And he was one of the co-hosts of the show. And they would travel around the world and to countries where they would study their martial art. And they would also have a match in that style of that martial art.
Yeah, and then he's done stuff with Bellator and UFC, and he has a show on Sirius XM. But Richard, I know you were pretty excited with the announcment that he was going to be hired.
I was like you, and I had no idea who the guy was, and so I went on YouTube to check it out, or some of his calls or podcasts or interviews, and I was like, God, I like this guy. Mm-hmm. This guy's good. Like he brings a personality of his own to it, and he doesn't have a nasally annoying voice. So I think he's going to do good.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing too. I mean, so he does have experience in quote combat sports.
And and he has a martial arts background.
He also seems like someone that's not just going to sit there when Corey Graves throws out cheap Bobby Heenan one-liners.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the thing also with him is, I know some people were criticizing him. I guess he tweeted a couple years ago that he doesn't watch wrestling on a regular basis. But he did say
he doesn't watch wrestling though.
Yeah. I mean, he said he grew up loving Bruiser Brody and stuff, so that was cool when he said that.
Right on.
For him, it's. I know with Bellator and stuff, he was always like more of a color commentator. So to be the main lead play-by-play guy, that's going to be kind of interesting for him to handle that task. But I know he's been working with Michael Cole behind the scenes for the last couple of weeks auditioning.
And I thought he did well in NXT for the pre-show.
Yeah, so that's the thing. He was on NXT recently doing some stuff. So that was kind of maybe a little practice round for him. So, I mean, we'll wait and see and judge. I mean, I guess tonight on Raw is going to be his first night doing play-by-play. So I'm sure we'll watch him. We'll discuss it on the next episode. So
sure.
Good luck to him. I'm just curious, if he's going to be the one that what Vince McMahon envisions as a good commentator. So I would love to know what Vince thinks of a good play-by-play wrestling commentator is.
Goddamn pal.
So see how it goes. All right, next up, something that blew up the entire wrestling news space on social media all day Friday was the word that WWE and New Japan were in talks about a working agreement. I know Meltzer reported it was a Thursday night in The Observer that apparently WWE president Nick Khan was in talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling about WWE becoming New Japan Pro Wrestling exclusive American partner. And then if you read the full article, it was also said that apparently WWE would send like their top stars over to New Japan. And so, Richard, I would tell you, like, I got up early for work on Friday and I was just seeing like social media. Everyone was like overreacting, like, oh my God, how dare New Japan get in bed with WWE? And like people were overreacting, thinking like, oh my God, they're trying to shut the forbidden door that New Japan's working with AEW and Impact and other promotions. They thought literally the sky was falling.
I hate this term, the forbidden door.
I agree.
It's kind of, yeah, it's terrible. It's happened forever. New Japan's worked with how many companies?
Many.
Over the years, yeah. Like Ring of Honor. And,
how is it a forbidden door then?
Yeah.
I guess, well, and that's the thing. Yeah, I don't get it. Like this forbidden door. I guess forbidden door.
It's just some crap Chris Jericho spewed and people take as, oh, they've never done this. It's like, I seem to remember WCW and New Japan having a relationship. I seem to remember Ring of Honor and New Japan having a relationship. NWA, WCCW, CMLL, AAA. They've even worked with WWF in the past.
Yeah, well, well, no, I was going to say, I think it kind of stems from the fact that, like, the guys in the elite left New Japan, and so apparently New Japan was really pissed at them and were, like, refused to work with them.
They're not homegrown talent, though.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Besides Kenny. Like, that's it. Like, it's the stupidest thing in the world, and it's not accurate. It's just something Chris Jericho said that people get hyped behind.
Right.
Because they don't know better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. It's just like when people are like, oh, the elite left, so New Japan officials were really mad and refused to work with AEW. And then like a year later, it's like these talks started happening. And it's like, oh my God, maybe there is this forbidden door that was closed is now opening. So, everyone's gravitating towards that. But yeah, Tommy, you were going to say, WWF, they worked with New Japan way back in the day.
Going back to the 1970s, during the territory days.
The forbidden door is Vince McMahon putting together a show with New Japan and All Japan.
Yes, in 1990.
There was such bad blood between Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki.
Yes.
And Vince extended the olive branch to do a 3-company show.
Yes.
That's the forbidden door that Vince broke down.
Yes.
So the thing was, like I said, like when I saw the news, I was like, oh my God, like in my head, I was trying to understand and dissect the news here. And I was at first like, oh my God, WWE sees the AEW and New Japan working together. So they're trying to, maybe outbid them and take over that and try and prevent those two companies working together. And, like I think a lot of people came up with all these crazy conclusions. And then even some fans, were like fantasy booking already what matchups.
I mean, that's what I woke up to before I saw the news was that like all these other the Instagram accounts were putting like New Japan against WWE guys. And it's kind of like, what is this? Why is this everywhere?
Yeah.
But
So
it's I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, well, the people that were for this idea were like, yeah, fantasy booking already matchups, dream matchups that they want to see. And, so like I said, I think a lot of people were overreacting. And then by Friday afternoon, Mike Johnson from
PW Insider.
Yeah, he reported he got some more info from his sources to elaborate on this report. And apparently all it is just a way for WWE to send Daniel Bryan to work some dates in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's all it is.
Right.
I think a lot of people were worried that, when WWE wanted to be New Japan's exclusive American partner, that way they can't work with anyone else in America, so it closes out all their relationships with other companies. Like I said, I had all these different thoughts in my head, but then once I got this Mike Johnson report, I kind of just threw it all out the window and be like, oh, that's it. I think a lot of people were overreacting. All it is Daniel Bryan wants to work some dates with New Japan. We didn't hear about this. He's done some interviews over the last couple months, and he says he wants to be able to work some other dates and other promotions. So, I don't know, what do you think about this idea of Daniel Bryan maybe working New Japan for a bit and then come back to WWE?
It helps both.
Yeah,
right.
And I, despite, kind of getting to the bottom of this story, I think it does do some sort of goodwill towards WWE and New Japan to do such a thing. I mean, look who they just inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. One of the biggest stars in New Japan history, Jushin Thunder Liger. Who only had one match under WWE. So, there's been others. There's been Antonio Inoki himself and Fujinami. And so I think it helps, those types of things. And, if they do get together, I think that's a pretty strong relationship that could help both brands out a lot, because a lot of the times when I see that someone got let go from WWE and they're not like a seasoned veteran, they've been around, they're seasoned, but I often think to myself, it would be great for them to go to New Japan and, enhance their style a little bit. So if you can have a working relationship where, I think that kind of prevents a lot of your people from getting let go. And it also helps WWE because you can have short-term storylines with some cool guys like they used to do back in the day, like the territory system. So you can bring in Sonata to wrestle with Seth Rollins for like a month or two and then go back, and then Seth Rollins maybe goes over to Japan for a month or two.
Yeah. See, I think being optimistic, because all the fun, cool storylines that they can create out of this partnership. I think a lot of people were also like baffled, be like, well, wait a sec, like what's the point of this? Like WWE already has a big enough roster. Like how are they going to squeeze more guys from New Japan's roster onto the show? It won't make, it's not fair. And then other people I saw were overreacting, saying like, New Japan, they have their own style. WWE has their own in-ring style, and how's it going to work? Are they going to make the New Japan?
The point. That's the point. Like, because if you look at AJ Styles before New Japan and AJ Styles after New Japan, he's a completely different wrestler.
Absolutely.
Before New Japan, he's just a high flyer who had really great matches and was like John Cena, could kick out of everything. And afterwards, he's perfected this striking style.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot, like a lot of the women that people are not the highest on in WWE, I think could get a lot out of a working relationship with Japan.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I saw like one of the reports where like WWE, I think why they're open to the idea. Okay, here, so let's break it down as far as, okay, WWE, they don't want to lose Daniel Bryan. They see how valuable he is. I think Daniel Bryan knows he has them by the balls. And so part of his demands are, it's like, well, listen, this is my last hurrah as a wrestler. I want to be able to work some dates at other promotions, short term.
This is also not unheard of for WWE to let a talent do that in negotiating a contract. They did it with Vader. They did it with Ken Shamrock. They did it with Undertaker. So, this has happened a lot. It just hasn't happened in a while.
So I think Daniel Bryan, so Daniel Bryan, I think, he's like, listen, this is his last hurrah. He wants to be able to go out and work some other promotions just to, probably for his own legacy.
And I even said that I think Daniel Bryan also wants to have WWE be more open-minded to working with other promotions like New Japan.
And that's the thing. So I think Daniel Bryan's like, listen, like, I don't know what the negotiation is behind closed doors, but maybe he says, listen, I'll sign with you guys long-term if you let me go do these dates right now, just so I can enjoy myself, and then I'll come back. Like, I wonder if that's kind of like some of the negotiations go on, the conversations that they're having.
I don't think the way you just laid that out, they would let him do that, though. I think the way that they would do it is that they needed to sign him first, and then they would allow him to go over there.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and I think probably the holdup is they're like, okay, well, maybe we'll let you go work New Japan dates, but we don't want you in the ring with Moxley or Jericho, who are AEW talent.
Which is fine.
Yeah, so that's probably the hiccup right now. It's like, okay, if you're going to go to New Japan, you can't be in the same ring with AEW guys.
Yeah.
But he could
work
work
who
with
wants to see that anyway?
Yeah, exactly. He could work with someone like Suzuki or Minoru Suzuki or someone like that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is there was one report where WWE, they realize, or Nick Khan realizes that for the last 20 years they've had that attitude that they exist in their own world. They don't work with other people. So maybe Nick Khan's trying to change that outlook. Right?
Well, hold on, though.
I forget the exact wording. Yeah.
New Japan has not always been in the place that it's been at right now. There was a giant slump for New Japan for a number of years in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it's not like, or I guess the 2000s, not the late 90s, but it's not like the WWE was going after the biggest company in Japan to work with. It's like, no, they're in a slump. Why are we going to go work with them? WWE is going to have a working relationship with someone that they feel like they're going to get something out of, and they will get something out of. It's not going to be a one-sided street where it's, hey, we're going to come raid your roster for WWE, or, hey, we're going to send a bunch of our best talent over to you so you can make a bunch of money.
Yeah. No, the quote here I was referring to says, with Khan, the former Isolanus, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Attitude of WWE versus everyone is changing, with the idea WWE is part of the wrestling landscape and not separate from the pro wrestling landscape. So I think they're just trying to change, I think, maybe people's perception of WWE, that they don't work with other companies. And
global expansion.
Exactly.
Right.
So if anything, maybe Daniel Bryan, in a way, he's the one that's going to break the walls down and have WWE be more open to work with other promotion. So, maybe Daniel Bryan, that could be something cool for his legacy. He was the one that kind of changed the landscape a little bit.
And the thing is, too, if they are going to expand globally, you are going to need global ambassadors.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with England's kind of easy because they love our American talent, but in Japan they've got talent that are mega stars over there. Because don't forget that wrestling is still front page news in Japan. You send over Hulk Hogan to Japan, and it's a big deal. I mean, New Japan's not getting Hulk Hogan anymore unless they send him over, or Brock Lesnar, or Daniel Bryan. So it's like, hey, we can come send your former IWGP heavyweight champions over that are our guys.
Yeah, so I think for me, what would be kind of interesting, if this is the beginning of something working together, like if all it is just Daniel Bryan going over there, work some dates, and that's it. All right, cool, great. Or if it could expand and evolve from that, then that could be also really cool too. And I mean, who knows? Maybe NXT could kind of be the one to benefit more from this. Like, maybe NXT and New Japan can work stuff together because their styles are a little more similar. And that's cool. NXT was already, rumored to do stuff with MLW. So NXT could be the one that kind of benefits. The
big Worlds Collide pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, I think initially when I read these reports, I was like everyone else, coming with all these conclusions. And then I realized by Friday afternoon, a lot of people were overreacting to the details. Mike Johnson cleared the air and just said, listen, all this is about is just Daniel Bryan trying to work some dates with New Japan. That's all it is. It's not like WWE's trying to squash New Japan working in America with other promotions, this and that. It's just funny how people overreact to hating on WWE.
And if New Japan doesn't want to do it, then we'll see Daniel Bryan and some other Japanese promotion. So,
potentially. And that's the thing.
And that's going to be their benefit and not New Japan. So I think it's in New Japan's best interest to work with them.
And that's the thing too, is WWE is the biggest company in the world. So for New Japan to get a better have better exposure here in America, it would make more sense to work with WWE versus anyone else.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're so far ahead of everyone. It makes sense because it's like, look, number 2 is arguable for wrestling company, but number 2 is also so far behind WWE. Yeah. It's you can't even see them at the finish line.
Well, that's the thing. Like, look, just real quick, New Japan, 3 years ago was hot, coming into America, and a lot of people were loving everything New Japan, and then it kind of died down the last couple of years. And so, what better way to kind of maybe get their exposure up again by working with WWE? So I think from a business standpoint, it makes sense. But I just know some of the hardcore fans who are maybe more indie fans or whatever, they're a little hesitant because they're like, oh, New Japan going to bed with the big bad devil, and it's
hate on it before you see it.
I know, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Maybe it becomes the best thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's it. Another thing too. It's just funny because they're these talks started in March and April, and they're like, oh my god, WWE saw that AEW and New Japan were doing stuff together, so they want to jump in. Well, no, keep in mind, in March and April, that's when Daniel Bryan's contract was expiring. That's probably why those talks started then. So people are not looking at all the details.
These people are idiots, and they don't understand business. I have people that complain on my page about the way the invasion happens still on posts that have nothing to do with the invasion.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how much people complain. Wrestling fans are toxic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really are.
And I also wanted to say, theoretically speaking, I mean, I could see WWE wanting to do this just so they can get some of the tape library, but I figure they have to, since some of their guys worked for New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I figure they have to negotiate with TV Asahi, who owns all the tapes, and I honestly think the talent would love to go work there if they wanted to do this, because I figured they wanted to adapt to working that style and, the strong style. So,
well, the other thing, listen, I know WWE has their performance center where they create their talent, their own wrestling style, but it's also, I think, good. You can learn other styles as well that help benefit the overall appeal of the product. So, I mean, anyway, like I said, at the end of the day, all it was is just Daniel Bryan trying to work New Japan and the two companies trying to maybe potentially work an agreement. Other than that, everything else is just fantasy booking or just open-ended discussion. And so, until something official comes out, it's just, it's just talk at that point. So.
Rumor and innuendo.
Exactly.
All smoke and mirrors so far.
All right, let's move on over to Ultimate Warrior talk. So this week was all Ultimate Warrior. He had not one, but 2 documentaries come out about him this week. Last Sunday was the A&E biography on Ultimate Warrior, and then this past Thursday was the Dark Side of the Ring version of his story.
Well, here's what's interesting. I watched them in order of when they played. You guys watched them in the opposite order.
Yes, I did. Yeah, we did. So, we watched Dark Side of the Ring first, and then we watched the A&E version or A&E biography afterwards.
So, point blank, which one did you guys like more?
Tom, you go ahead.
No, not saying either are bad. Just saying, which one do you like more?
I enjoyed the A&E one because it really showed his roots, where he came from. Mm-hmm. But I like the Dark Side one because they really, I felt his first wife really did a good job having been interviewed during this whole segment, and the show. I mean, the biography and all that. There's a lot of things, but I can't really include them all.
Well, no. So I will say this, Richard, I enjoyed the A&E one probably a little bit better because, one, it was longer, so they're able to tell more of the whole story of his life and career. While the Dark Side of the Ring one, while it was shorter, I think they did a good job of kind of maybe exploring more of, unfortunately, the negative side about him.
Right.
I agree. I agree. I was a little down on the fact that they did focus so much on that.
Yeah,
it felt like you had people that worked with him but that's the problem, because there's not a lot of people that worked with him for a long time, but they did have people like Jim Ross and Jim Cornette who didn't work with him the longest period of time, but it just felt like they wanted to add to the shit pile.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. God, there's so much to break down here with that.
Here's what let me get this out.
Okay,
here's what I got from both. Number one, he married two very cool women.
Mm-hmm.
I thought both of his wives came across like really genuine, great women. Mm-hmm. And I think that they were the best parts of both because they explained who the real Jim Hellwig was.
Yeah.
And like, okay, he's an asshole at work. He's difficult to work with. But when he comes home, he's not that guy until he is that guy later, with his first wife. But, did you catch it during the A&E one, how exhausted he looked after doing promos?
Yes.
Like it drained him.
Yes.
Like he looked emotionally and physically like drained from it.
Before I forget, I love those like behind the scenes clips, and you see how hands-on Vince McMahon was, like coaching him and guiding him. That stuff is so cool. And that's something I think a lot of people maybe don't give Vince McMahon enough credit for, is like, not only was he the owner, the commentator, the booker, the promoter, the salesman, but then like the actual character coach, the director,
mentoring these guys.
It almost felt to me like an unfortunate circumstance that WWE and Vice couldn't work on this together, because I feel like they both paint the perfect picture, but you see the same clips in both.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that is like, after watching both, like, I recommend for anyone out there who's a fan of Ultimate Warrior or just wants to learn more about him, I recommend watching both. Like, don't watch one or the other. You need to watch both, because I think combined, you get the full picture of who he is. You got like the official WWE version, and then like the independent version of telling his story of who he is. So combined, I think you get a really good idea of who he is. Now, Dark Side of the Ring, what I enjoyed about that was they had his first wife. A&E, they didn't. They only had Dana, who's his second wife. So with the first wife,
they're like the first same person, though. They're like great. I love them both.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, with the first wife, her perspective is very valuable because she was married to him during his initial wrestling career. So she has the firsthand experience of what was it like dealing with him and what he was going through.
She, to me, validates, so it's not just Dana Warrior's story of that he was a great guy. Because, a lot of times you'll get like, he was my wife, or he was my husband and I loved him. And, a lot of times people protect the ones they love. So, like, you got both. And I thought WWE did an extremely honest job. Mm-hmm. Maybe the most honest documentary WWE's done, to their credit, because I had a lot of people, I put out a poll on my page asking people which one they liked more. And I had a lot of people that had preconceivedly judged the A&E one, that WWE wasn't going to cover this and that. And then when I told them, no, they covered, the stuff at the university in detail, and the DVD, and like, they explained it and they talked about it. It wasn't like we're going to hide this. It's like, no, we're going to make a discussion out of this so stuff like this doesn't happen.
Yeah, so for me, like Dark Side of the Ring, I felt like, as far as describing who he was early on, they kind of brushed through that pretty quick. They just kind of jump into right in the bodybuilding, like post high school,
which was funny because I thought the Vice one was going to cover his early career more than his later career, but it was the opposite. WWE covered the early one in detail.
That's something I was watching with Tommy, and I was like, I felt like the first 30 minutes of the A&E one, I really enjoyed that, because you see about his childhood growing up in Indiana, and he's the oldest of his siblings.
Well, but that was what I was just saying about it's a shame that they didn't work together, because the Vice one kind of went through like his childhood and his father.
Pretty
quick in the A&E one, but in the Vice one, they explained that his father walked out on them for a neighbor, it was missed in the A&E one, but like they covered that in the Vice one, so it was just kind of like, man, this is like a full picture. Like, if you missed it the first time, we're going to cover it the second time.
Yeah, like, so A&E, like, I really enjoyed, like I said, the first 30 minutes really covered like his origin and who he was as a person growing up, and why was he so obsessed with weightlifting and getting big? Because, he's the oldest of his siblings, so you're probably the pressure providing for his family after his dad leaves. But yeah, his dad leaves, and how the psychology can screw with someone's brain. Like, your own father doesn't love you and want you, so you're always looking for validation from people.
But then you package that in with, not only did he leave, but he left with someone you probably knew because it was a neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, that's two people that betrayed you.
Yeah. So I think that's why moving forward, that explains so much, that like those early years, that explains his attitude for years to come and how he deals with people.
Which one had his mom in it?
The A&E one.
A&E,
okay. Yeah, she was great too.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, he had a really bad childhood, and so that messes with someone's brain. And then moving forward, like, how it affects relationships that person has later on in life, and the insecurities, and always wanting to make everyone happy, and going to extreme lengths to be successful, and cutthroat attitude. Like, it really explains a lot. And that's why I said the A&E one really told that story. And it makes so much sense now why he was maybe a dick in WWF at the time, and in the 90s and the 2000s, because of how bad that childhood he had. And he probably never really got proper help, to attention to focus on that.
Well, I think both of them painted Vince in a good light. The Vice one included. But I found it interesting when you hear Warrior talking about it, and Warrior legitimately thinks of Vince as like a father figure. And I don't know about you guys, but I got like semi choked up when they asked Vince, like, did you think of Warrior as like a surrogate son or something? He said, no, I only have one son.
Yeah, that was interesting, which, I can understand Vince's perspective. Like, no, that's just an employee of him.
Well, I think that kind of breaks down too, because a lot of wrestling fans will say that, they think of Vince as like a father figure, and it's like Vince never has said that. Like, it's wrestlers that have said that. So I think it's kind of cool to hear Vince like, no. I think that's a really, really awesome moment for Shane if he hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. I know a lot of people make fun of what Vince, remember that tweet, "Happy birthday, Shane." It was like that one line.
Yeah.
And then when it was Triple H's birthday, he like had
this elaborate tweet.
Yeah.
But it's like, "Happy birthday, Shane." That's
Happy birthday,
it.
Shane.
That's it.
Happy birthday, Shane.
No, but same way, like I said, I really enjoyed A&E one because, like I said, really explained his origins. And like growing up in Indiana, then moving to Georgia, and the weightlifting, and how successful, and then how he went to LA and met Sting, and that's how he got into wrestling. So they really explained that early years. While Darkseid were like, oh yeah, he was small for his age, got started weightlifting, went to Georgia, won a contest, went to LA, met Sting, and boom, went on the territories. It was like super quick.
Yeah.
While A&E kind of explained it more. And so
I interviews with those people,
I was watching Darkseid one. I was like, man, I wish Sting was on this. But then I watch A&E. I'm like, oh, they use clips of Sting there. I'm like, oh, that explains it.
But Darkseid could have gone to Sting and interviewed him.
That's what I was thinking, because the clips at A&E of Sting, that was like 2014. So, but anyway, like I said, I enjoy watching the stuff about the territories, learning more about that. And so it was funny, Darkseid, the people that they had on there were really focusing on Ultimate Warrior. Didn't really care about the business. He just wanted to make money. So that's why he never learned how to wrestle properly. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but it's like they really focus on the negative side of that. But it's like his mentality is he wanted to be successful and provide for others.
But both Jim Cornette and Jim Ross have hired people that weren't the greatest wrestlers, but they knew that there was something there.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing.
It's kind of the pot calling the kettle black.
And then one thing that was interesting was they had Jake the Snake on there, and they said in 90...
Oh, that was a lie.
Yeah.
That was all a lie.
The history there, like, Jake the Snake said he was going to get a title run, but he had to ask Ultimate Warrior for permission before they go into their program. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't think Warrior was ever champion when him and Jake the Snake had the
feud.
Was he champion at that point yet? I can't remember.
Intercontinental. They want him to beat him for the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
But it doesn't match. None of it matches up. Jake lies sometimes. Or Jake
I was going to say the timeline was off. The history of it.
It was weird that I think that they were already interviewing Jake for some other stuff. And
his episode's next week. His family.
That's going to be a dark one.
Yeah. So anyway, I was watching. I was like, the timeline doesn't really kind of make sense with him. And
no, a lot of people were saying that. Like,
was Jake ever really going to be WWE champion at one point?
No.
See, that's
Jake. From what I've heard from people that were backstage, Jake was always going to be Jake. It's kind of like Ted DiBiase. It's just kind of like those are such larger than life characters that they didn't need the belt. And back then, you didn't need the belt to be super over.
Yeah.
Everyone was super over.
Yeah, I was like thinking like Tommy Dreamer is a good example. He was never ECW champion until the very end, right?
Yeah.
But like he was just over, so he didn't need the title. Undertaker.
Same goes with Roddy Piper.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Undertaker never won the world title. It wouldn't tarnish his legacy a single bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, Darkseid, and that's the other thing too. Like Darkseid, when it came to the letter that Warrior,
hold on. You know what's funny?
What's that?
I feel like whenever they gave Undertaker a belt, it's just when they didn't have creative for him. Like it's like, oh, we'll just make him the champion so he gets to defend it.
Yeah. So it gives him something
that's his
to do.
Story. Yeah.
Well, no, so what I'm saying is like with Ultimate Warrior and
Jake.
No, not Jake. With the letter to Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed. Like, A&E one, they kind of showed some excerpts from it. But Jim Cornette on Darkseid, he read the full thing. I thought that was kind of funny. And then Vince's response, that was funny too. It was interesting. But then also the timeline, like they said, he left after 91, didn't come back. Well, he came back in 92. A&E covered that and said how he looked smaller because he wasn't on steroids. And then they talked about 96, how he came back.
Even when he's not on steroids, though, he's still jacked. Like part of that is like the shoulders, like cannonball shoulders is just like, that's from years of working out. That doesn't necessarily mean it's from the steroids. You look at Scott Steiner before steroids, and he's got the big cannonball shoulders himself.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say, I enjoy Darkseid. Like I felt like the 90s, they kind of went through pretty quickly.
Neither covered WCW.
They didn't cover WCW.
No.
One thing I do like about Darkseid did mention, and this is something I didn't really think about, was, as a kid in the 80s, everyone loved Ultimate Warrior because he was just larger than life.
He's our wrestler. He's the fans, like Sid. He's the fans' wrestler.
He was like a superhero.
Yeah.
But then Jim Ross brought up a good point was by like the 90s, though, those same fans are older, are understanding the business more, and they kind of realize, oh, he's not that good in the ring. So that's why
doesn't matter. Matter.
But his shtick is not as the 90s was, but the mid 90s was a different era in wrestling. So his style from the 80s didn't translate as well.
Okay, so these are kids when he's around, right?
Yeah,
and then they get older. What was the demographic? 17 or 18 to 35.
In the 90s or
18 to 34.
1834.
That's the demographic that they go for, right?
Oh yeah, 1834.
So his biggest demographic in the 80s is children, and then they grow up and they're in their 18 to 34s who are then cheering for Goldberg, who is the same character.
Yeah.
So there's the argument of, were they really that down on him?
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing was
they just swapped out a couple moves for a couple different moves.
In neon for just black tights.
Yeah, and a spear jackhammer. There you go.
So no,
shoulder tackle, body splash.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to analyze here. We can go on and on about it, but I just said, like, if you're a fan of Ultimate Warrior, I suggest you watch both documentaries because you get the full picture. Like I said, I thought his first wife was great. It's just telling the story of just, what was it like being with him in the 80s. And it's really shocking. Like, God, Memphis, 85, and then by 91, like, really his time in wrestling was like 6 years. Like, it really was amazing for that.
I think it was in the A&E one. Someone had said something about, like, it was also a different, I think it was the A&E one. Because I think it was Bruce Pritchard, and he was saying that it was a different time and things were a lot more carny. And he grew up in a carny business, so it's kind of, like I think they both did a fantastic job of painting the picture of that the human Jim Hellwig. And I mean, the one thing that Jake did say that I thought was honest was Warrior coming to him and apologizing because they had the video footage. Yeah, and it was cool with the Hogan and apologizing to other people too. I just a couple things real quick before I forget it was interesting. They do both talk about the stuff in the 2000s. When the internet was starting to take off and blogging, and obviously he had his own website and changed his name, and was writing a lot of hateful things. The speech in Connecticut.
it was interesting, but A&E one, at least Dana, her defense or trying to explain why he was acting like that. How like talk radio, like conservative talk radio kind of, I don't know, it's brainwashed is a strong word, but kind of.
Well, look at the world we live in right now.
Absolutely. Like social media, a lot of people get their news.
You get caught up in stuff sometimes, and it seems like she realized it, and he realized it, that he made a mistake. He didn't realize it right away, but I think he realized it.
Like, yeah,
she said that he's human, he's flawed. Like, I think people think that because you're famous and you've had success that you can't make mistakes anymore. It's like, if you or I made a mistake, we work to rectify. So
yeah, no, that's a good analogy right there. I think how in the early 2000s, like he was following conservative talk radio and wanted to be like this conservative motivational speaker. And like he was kind of spewing the same ideology that he's heard on like Rush Limbaugh and stuff, and how someone can really, train someone to think that way. And you're probably a good point. I think there's a lot of crazy people on social media now who just regurgitate what they see on Twitter and stuff. So the
Facebook chat.
Yeah.
And you can say things that are honest and are right, but they're not right, morally. Yeah. So I mean, look, there's a reason why Hitler convinced so many people to follow him.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, there's a lot of sheep out there. And so you find someone but
it's not even necessarily being, and I'm not saying by any means necessary that if you're a conservative, you're a sheep, but I'm saying that, or we are saying that, but I think that you can connect with certain things that people say and start to take it as fact. And it's just someone's opinion at the end of the day. Yeah.
I mean, I think for a lot of people who are looking for guidance, you think about it, he didn't have a strong father figure. So I'm sure for him, he's just looking for maybe answers or, like advice or maybe, ways of thinking. And so, yeah, the radio was probably something he turned to listen to for guidance. And so I'm not condoning anything he said. No. I think everything he said was horrible and it's unfortunate, but and our dad was watching the end of it as well. And we tried to explain to him, it was really eerie how he finally made amends with WWE after the documentary and everything. Got into the Hall of Fame, had his goodbye or that one speech in the ring that the next or a couple nights later on Raw, and then died that same week. It was just so eerie.
The next day.
Yeah, the next day. The timing of it all. Finally comes back to WWE, comes back home, goes in the Hall of Fame. A couple days later, does Monday Night Raw. Next day, he dies. So it's like, just the timing of it all was so, just like I said, eerie that it all worked out like that. So, I mean, at least they have that forever, that last promo of his.
It's interesting, too. I don't know what that condition is that he had, but Kevin Nash has the same thing in his family. He said he outlived his dad and his grandpa and his grandpa.
Yeah.
He said that they all died at like 35, and he's, almost twice that age now.
That's crazy. Did you notice his daughter in A&E once says, the idea of wrestling? I was like, I wonder if she would, I don't know how she is in the ring, but, she does kickboxing and stuff. I mean,
take it.
Yeah, go in the red. It was interesting, her last name is Warrior. Like, I forgot. I was like, he changed his name legally to Warrior. I was like, whoa, that's trippy. So anyway, like I said, there's so much.
She's got a ring name already, Maddie Warrior.
Yes. So like I said, there's so much we can discuss about that, but that's like a lot of the highlights we noticed. So like watch both of them for the full picture. So, all right, last but not least, we'll just run through NXT and SmackDown this week. NXT, obviously the big story was just the NXT Championship match between Finn Balor and Karrion Kross for the title. Dude, I think this might have been better than their TakeOver match.
I 100% agree.
Okay. It was, dude, hard hitting, a lot of fun.
That spot with two spots, Jesus. The one where he crucifix powerbombed him into the barricades was great.
Yeah.
But then Balor did the double foot stomp, and like at first I'm just looking at it like, oh my god, he didn't get off of him. Mm-hmm. And then he just shifted Balor's body and grabbed him in the chokehold. Was awesome.
And listen, there were multiple moments in this match where I really thought Finn had this. Like the drama.
I didn't think so at all.
Really?
I thought the fact that like Balor kept hitting him with really big moves, and then Kross would just get right back up. It was just like, oh, he's got this. This is a done deal.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like this was a really good, hard hitting match. I mean, you know, the thing is, like, I was like, man, they're giving this away on a Tuesday. Like, I was like, couldn't they save this for TakeOver in your house next month? But there are rumors. Apparently, Monday Night Raw really wants Finn Balor, so maybe, you know, he might be. They want to speed up and get called up. And I wonder if he'll go to Monday Night Raw and maybe intern Money in the Bank next month. I mean, you know,
I want to see him in a title match with Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the way he's been booked, he could totally be a credible threat against Bobby Lashley now. But no, great match. I recommend everyone to watch that if you can. Like I said, you know, 2 great matches between the two of them in the last 6 weeks. So really lucked out there. Also, we saw the $1 million face-off between Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes. I enjoyed this segment. That Ted DiBiase, like, I was concerned how is he going to be live on a microphone in front of a crowd, because, you know, he hasn't done this in a long time. But I thought he did a great job delivering his stuff.
He's a pro's pro. But I was worried for a minute, and it wasn't because of Ted. Because Cameron Grimes starts going down on this, like, oh, you hurt my feelings. I just wanted to be like you. And it's just like, oh, no, he's going to give some sappy, like, baby face type promo. And he's like, you know, I got all this money. I want to treat people like garbage, too. It's just like,
that's the thing. It's like Tom and I were watching this, and it was like a baby face promo Cameron Grimes was cutting.
Yeah.
But then he turns it around, and it's just like he just shat on everybody. So
exactly.
Well, no, I was gonna say, but no, Ted DiBiase is great, and like I almost thought, like, are they gonna join forces? Like the way they were kind of like, let's be on the same page. And like Ted DiBiase said, like, I see a lot of you in me, or I see you remind me of like a younger version of myself. And so I was like, oh, are they gonna come together? But then, sure enough, L.A. Knight comes in, interrupts them, and you know, pretty much tells Ted DiBiase, like, I should be like your protege, more or less, right? Like he's calling him out. And then he attacks Cameron Grimes. LA Knight, like, what is it? Like, it's a stunner, but like he drags him forward.
It's a stunner cutter.
Stunner cutter.
It looks weird because like
it looks like the stunner. It looks like a diamond cutter.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird the way he
like drops his head.
It's a instead of It's a forward cutter. That's what it is. Because it's no different than the diamond cutter. His body's just going in a different direction. He's landing on his front and not his back.
So he beats up Cameron Grimes, and Ted DiBiase leaves with LA Knight. So I was like, oh man, is like Ted DiBiase going to be LA Knight's manager or protege?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And there's a rumor that, you know, they're going to bring back the $1 million belt, and maybe the two of them are going to fight for it. I think save that for TakeOver. Like, let that be
house.
In your house. Let them fight for the $1 million title. So I'm all for it.
$1 million man's returning to in your house. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that'd be great. And then last thing for NXT, the big thing we noticed was Frankie Monet's big debut.
She looked great.
Former Taya Valkyrie, John Morrison's wife. Yeah, man, I thought she was great. It was kind of a squash match against Cora Jade, but she got offense in. I love she kept saying, we're loca, shouting that. But yeah, anything, Richard, you thought from her debut match with NXT?
I want to see her in the ring fairly soon with someone with more experience, because to me, it was a squash match, but it went on. And it was just kind of, she looked very happy to be in the ring.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, you know, a little more competition.
Right.
Well, I think probably going to give her some opponents, but I wonder if Io Shirai is going to be the big opponent that she's going to get, because remember, she interrupted Io Shirai's interview with Beth Phoenix not too long ago.
That could be.
And Io's been off TV for a while, so I wonder.
Well, that also could mean something else.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of, when someone's off TV for a significant amount of time, you know, they're going to be called up or waiting for the right time to bring them back. But I would love to see, Frankie Monet and Io Shirai. So
For in your house.
Yeah, in your house. That could be it. Great spot right there. All right, and then last thing we'll just touch on real quick is Friday Night SmackDown, some of the highlights there. Usos versus Street Profits, opening match here. Dude, what a banger. I mean, I don't know about you, but like seeing the Usos back on TV, I think just elevates the whole tag team division.
Absolutely.
As a whole. Yeah. Like, and the two of them going at it, like the hard-hitting stuff on the outside of the ring and the high-flying stuff. It was so good.
At this point in their careers, I think an argument can be made is for WWE one of their best tag teams of all time. So
the Usos are. Yeah,
you can put the Usos in like if you can take them in a moment of time and put them in the 90s, it works. You put them in the 80s, it works depending on the opponents.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like they're up there. They're way up there.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, so the Usos win. My only thing was, I think it was Cole said, "Oh, what a major upset." I'm like, they're 6-time champions.
Cole had a couple of moments.
I was I know.
Okay, we weren't going to talk about it, but the Bianca Belair Carmella match.
Okay, yeah.
Did you catch what Cole called Bianca?
Belanca. And Bailey's like called him out.
Bailey just snapped and called him an idiot and all that. Yeah.
Blanca, you stupid idiot!
Yeah. No, but like I said, the Usos, like I was just laughing, like they get the win over the Street Profits, and it's their first match together in over a year because of the injury. But they're like major upset. I'm like major upset. They're 6-time champions. It's not an upset.
That's something sound like Adnan Virk would have said.
And then we saw the Usos backstage with Adam Pearce and like, hey, we won tonight. We deserve a title shot. And Adam Pearce is like, yeah, the winner of the main event tonight, you fight them next week. And then Jimmy was all excited, like, yeah, and calling the shots. And Jay, you could tell, was like nervous. And then we see him and Roman calls him out. It's like, why is your brother calling the shots and booking matches without like getting my clearance? And I just love like, Jay is like torn. You could tell like emotionally he's torn. It's like, do I stay with my brother or do I fall in line with Roman and his request? So just the drama, the family dynamic, we keep talking about that. It's just the loyalty. Dickens. Yeah, that was really cool. I don't know. Do you think?
What's going on?
Well,
sorry, on Zoom here. Go ahead, Richard.
So I was kind of thinking too. You've kind of got a dilemma for Jay of Roman's got me to this new level now, and I'm a solo guy, and I've never been a solo guy. Never thought I would be a solo guy, and do I want to go back to what I was doing? Mm-hmm. Like it worked, but been there, done that.
Yeah, no, Roman said that. It's like, dude, you're main event Jey Uso now. Like, look where I brought you. Do you want to go back just being a tag team with your brother? So I really thought that's a great psychology of like where you're at with your career. So I wonder, are the brothers going to be torn apart and fight each other? I don't want to see the Usos, break up.
Well, look, they're brothers at the end of the day. They'll never ever be broken up forever unless one of them something bad happens. So
no, I mean, just seeing where this goes, I'm excited. Main event, it was supposed to be the Mysterios taking on the Dirty Dogs, but like we saw at WrestleMania Backlash a couple weeks ago, the Dirty Dogs this time attacked Rey Mysterio, who was like praying on the hallway, and then they attack him, and so Dominic had to come out by himself in a handicap match. I don't know about you, like I've had my moments where I thought Dominic's been really good, and other moments he's just like okay. I think this was a really breakthrough moment for him as a babyface, like overcoming the odds against these two legendary veterans here.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the Dirty Dogs. Yeah. I like that. I mean, I've said it a bunch. Bobby Roode is cursed with being a great tag team wrestler. So, because he's also a great singles wrestler, but like, God, he's just so good with a partner.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is. Insert wrestler, and he's great.
Yeah. So Dominic, took his ass beaten, but he didn't give up. He kept fighting back, and then Ray finally comes at the end, and then with his entrance, the distraction, Dominic was able to roll up Robert Roode and retain the SmackDown tag title. So I thought it was a good breakout moment for Dominic to main event a match by himself, 2-on-1 handicap against those two guys.
Yep.
So it was a good, like I said, breakthrough moment for him to stand out. And then the Usos come out, stare down. So it's going to be family versus family next week. And I'm all for it. I cannot wait. And Richard, you brought a good point off the air, was it's cool to see the tag titles main event a show.
Yeah.
like, I think that's how you add some value back to the tag titles once again and build up elevate that whole division. So, but yeah, no, I thought it was a really fun episode of SmackDown. Oh, real quick, just Kevin Owens, Apollo Crews, we didn't get the full match for the IC title, but Apollo Crews' right-hand man, what's his name?
Dabba-Kato?
No, not Dabba-Kato. I mean, that's his old name. But he hits him with the spike, and then Kevin Owens for the rest of the show is just selling the neck injury. It's like, oh my God.
Him on the stretcher, the gurney reminded me of Ultimate Warrior. Remember when he got cursed by Papa Shango and he's puking?
I just thought Kevin Owens was really overselling that spike, but I guess, Richard, you said off the air, it's like, it shows how strong and devastating that move is.
Just heel heat.
Terrible.
Yeah. So
scary. It's very scary.
So no, fun episode of SmackDown overall. I'm looking forward to next week's episode. So, all right, on that note, let's start wrapping things up. Richard, where could all the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Pro Wrestling 101, and send your hate mail to @BabyHuey83 if you disagreed with anything I said or Tommy said. Please let Danny know at BabyHuey83. And be I'm just putting it out there, but Danny's not a sensitive guy. You can use whatever sort of foul language you like to describe it. Just make sure you hashtag In The Kliq.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tommy, how about you? Where can the Kliqsters find you online?
You could. What?
Nothing.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official. But at this point, you know where to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83, at In The Kliq for everything else social media wise.
Give me a follow.
InTheKliq@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line because Huey said so.